pleasure to share. Advance Australia wear. Advance Australia wear. Advance Australia wear.
What do you do with training? And once again, I'm an outsider looking in, mate. I watch your talks, not all of them, but I've seen quite a few of your talks, and I haven't been to one of your sessions, but I think I've got an idea of what you're doing. But it does seem to me to be more than just about real estate sales. It seems to me you're almost crossing into life coach a little bit as well, and positive attitudes in life. Am I right, or?
I don't teach me anything about real estate sales because I don't know anything about that. When I was doing it, there was nothing I could have said to make someone buy or even influence really someone to make a decision like buying a house if they didn't want to buy the house. Yeah. I was just, and it's my opinion that the real estate agent is just some idiot. In my case, I'm going to say some bloke standing there who is giving themselves credit for selling a house when the buyer is selling themselves. Yeah. So everything that I sort of do in my training of them is about them being a more attractive entity, if you will, that is able to get the listings to sell. So say sales is we go down to the Good Guys or you go to a car yard or anything. That salesperson's job is to take their product and say to a person, hey, this is a really good product. Here's the features, here's the benefits, here's how to do it or whatever, right? That's sales. Real estate agents, that's not their job. All of their money is made in convincing Nick, hey, Nick, when you go to sell, use agent A over agent B. Right? The sale will take care of itself. Now, there is something to be said. They need to be a skilled marketer to get multiple buyers into that property, and then a skilled negotiator when those one or more people are interested in buying that property to get the most money for the seller that engaged the agent. But that is the easier part of the equation to teach. The harder part of the equation is to be I use the word entity, and I don't know if that's the right word, but it's to be the agent that when life happens to a person, and, we talked about domestic violence. So, we're going along in our life. We're in a rosy marriage. We're at the 7-year mark. It gets a little less rosy. We're at the 14-year mark, and husband and wife decide to split up. So in that moment, when husband and wife decide to split up, our job as a real estate agent is to be the person that gets the phone call in to sell the house, and then the ability to market the property to get the multiple buyers in there and as many people into it as possible in the hopes that one, potentially, and hopefully 2 or 3 or 4 or more fall in love with the property and want to buy it. But really, that's it. Okay, marketing and negotiation.
You're saying
not sales.
You're saying a big part of what you're talking about is the role of the agent is to get the listing.
Correct.
Right, the listing. Okay, mate. Well, I'm going to think you're like the Shark Tank or whatever it's called here and pitch you an idea if that's okay.
Shoot.
I'm
the easiest mark in the world, though. When it comes to you, Jesus Christ, I'm an easy mark.
Well, here's the thing, and look, you might want to make sure that people in real estate never listen to this gasbaggin thing or whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
No, I say all this stuff to them that any of them that think that they're making sales out there, they're not. They're standing there giving themselves too much credit for buyers selling themselves. So all this stuff.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I agree with you about having the right listings is important because, you got the product, you're above the rest. But I think it's the same. There are certain service industries. There's like real estate, there's legal firms, there are accountants, there are things where people provide a service that is very similar to their competitor, right? They kind of, they usually have really good visual brands and websites. They spent the money on getting their branding right. They have their people dressed right and looking very professionally and trained right. And their receptionist is always very well spoken. They look the part. They all look very similar. The thing that makes a difference is, as you've pointed out, their listing. If they've got the properties that people want, that makes sense. People won't go to them. But I think that in a lot of those companies, one of the things that makes a real difference is actually the heart and soul of the people at the core of the business. It's the principles that they've come up through. Maybe it's a legacy through their family or something else that they've poured into their business. And that's probably the hardest thing in the world to actually market, because you can't put it in a brochure. You can't say, I've got this house and this house, and by the way, here are my family values. It doesn't work that way. I think this is a space, it's part of what I've been trying to do, where if you could tell your story if you could share your principles and part of who you are, your heart and soul, with your core clients and encourage them to on-share that to their extended network, that would be a powerful tool. And I think a song is a way to do that. If you were a real estate agent and one of the things you're really passionate about was multiple sclerosis, right? You had something you cared about, or whatever else, whatever charity. You might want to have a song written and produced for you about that subject that actually people donate. It could be about someone's journey in that case, and you encourage people to download it and they send their money when they download it to a charity. That becomes something that actually reflects your values and who you are. And that's something that your clients will probably want to share onto their friends and onto their friends. If that all came back to your platform, I think that could be a good marketing tool. Am I getting kicked out of the Shark Tank here, or is there something there? Or?
Not at all, no. And it taps into a bunch of principles that I already see as valid. So, I mean, the first one is, now, whilst you mentioned a charity might be the thing that is of passion, the thing that popped into my mind is, imagine if the passion that you had, you mentioned whatever the affliction that you mentioned was, MS, whatever the case may be. Instantly in my mind popped into my head was cystic fibrosis, and the Australian band the Wolverines had a song called 65 Roses, because this kid couldn't understand what cystic fibrosis was, and they were misinterpreting the word cystic fibrosis. Why has mum got 65 roses? Why is that bad?
Yep.
Right? What an amazing linguistic.
Mate, you don't put a song out that's just like talking about that disease. It's like Phil Collins' song "Another Day in Paradise," where he's talking about homelessness in a way that is telling a story.
Amazing.
That's the trick, is to tell a story in a song that captures people's imaginations, that they want to play in their car, they want to put on their playlist and everything else. But at the same 100%. Time, it's got an underlying message that taps into people's consciousness and says, and if they associate that, if the song doesn't talk about your business, but it feels like your business, it feels like your brand, it feels like that taps into people's subconscious. Because the good thing about music and sound is that it bypasses the logical part of our brain, and it goes to the oldest part of our brain, and it triggers emotions and creates memories. And that's a really powerful thing to tap into marketing. And even the big companies, I don't see the big companies in this world using songs strategically that way, where a value. And I think that's a whole new area to explore. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do, and so.
And so what I would add, I would say is, it's absolutely the case, more and more so as audio becomes a bigger player in the marketing space. And it absolutely is, with the advent of things. Instead of, typing in on a phone, you're now able to say, okay, Google, play me a song on Spotify. Well, the next step of things like, and my phone just started responding when I said that, things
they're
like
listening,
Alexa.
mate, they're listening.
Things like Siri and Alexa and okay, Google, all of those things. The next step is, hey Siri, get me the local real estate agent. Audio is a big new field, even though it has been there forever.
Well, and one of the things I've tried for the moment, I'm not doing these gas bagging series with video because I'm not equipped to do it properly. And I think if you do things half-assed, why do it? I'd rather treat it like we're having a phone call, which we are doing, and let people join in. But also with audio, we've almost reached a point of saturation with video. There's so many hours in a day you can watch a screen. But where audio is discovering such a growth, whether it's through podcasts or music or whatever else, is you can still listen to audio when you're driving, when you're exercising, when you're falling asleep, when you're picking up the kids, when you're doing your work. You don't have to be watching a screen. And that's, I think, where that growth is coming through. And that's something people need to realize, because audio is the first thing we hear when we're born and the last thing when we die. It's the last thing we hear. And it creates this soundtrack to our lives. And
100%.
And I think it's a new area of exploration. It's the new Wild West a little bit. But anyway, I've gone off on my little tangent there, mate. But sorry about that.
Well, but then I would even add is that you're not. I love the direction you're going, because not only are we entering, I suppose, almost a renaissance of audio. That's at least my opinion. With things like Siri and with things like
it's always been there. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Well, I remember I didn't know this at the time, but as I got more into marketing, one of my favorite songs of all time was "Walking in Memphis," and I only know about walking about 10 feet off of Beale Street. I only know about Beale Street because of that song. I only know about the Elvis and all of. I know, of course, I know about Elvis, but all of the things about Union Avenue and all of those lyrics in Walking in Memphis, that started off as a jingle to promote tourism in the town of Memphis.